In the name of God, who creates us, redeems us, and sanctifies us. Amen. There are numerous themes which come from our gospel reading this morning. There's a theme about sacrifice, particularly animal sacrifice. There is a theme about anger. There is another one about fair trading, very appropriate on this, the last day of Fair Trade Fortnight. Yet there is yet another theme about Jesus and the temple, and yet another about whether Jesus' prediction of the destruction of the temple is clear proof that this gospel was written after the destruction of that temple by the Romans in AD 70. Along with this, there is the prediction of Jesus' resurrection. Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. There are so many themes, but the one I want to concentrate on is the way it highlights the nature of the temple and the nature of the sacred. In our gospel reading this morning, Jesus clearly is angry. Why? Well, the desire of the Jewish people to obey the law of Moses led to a sacrificial system which allowed people who had disobeyed the law to offer a sacrifice at the temple and have their relationship with God restored. Part of that sacrifice involved purchasing ritually clean animals. Since Roman currency was considered idolatrous because it was stamped with the image of Caesar and referred to him as God, one had to exchange Roman currency for temple money to purchase the sacrificial offerings. This was all done in the temple forecourt and done at exacting strange rates of exchange. It is this situation that Jesus encounters as he enters the temple in our gospel reading. He feels that the temple is not being respected. Stop making my Father's house a marketplace. The point is not that marketplaces are inherently abhorrent. The problem was that the system of buying and selling animals for sacrifice and the exchanging of Roman money for temple coinage. Jesus saw this practice for what it was, an unnecessary barrier between God and the people of God. He saw the poor being exploited in order to purchase the animals for sacrifice. He heard the arguing and fretting over whether the money changers were charging a fair exchange, and he'd had enough. He singled out a table or two and drove out the dove sellers and the money changers. Jesus wanted to eliminate the system that kept God and the people of God apart, especially a corrupt system which enriched the pockets of some at the expenses of the poor. Simultaneously, Jesus is pointing to a new system focused on a new temple that will be, in fact, Jesus himself. The crucified and risen Christ will be that new temple who will replace the building and its sacrificial system, a temple which will be rebuilt in 3 days. For many years, the temple had been the focus of all that it was to be Jewish. In some ways, it was for the Jews what the monarchy is for ourselves and for the UK. It is a focus of unity. It embodied their cultural heritage. Whether people bought into that or not what made it symbolic. And it was just that nature that encapsulated all that it was to be part of the Jewish race. Its role then was a corporate one. It brought people together and gave them identity. It gave them purpose and meaning. To be disrespectful of the temple was to be disrespectful of all that Judaism held dear. Ultimately, we all need such sacred spaces, a place that is religious, dedicated to God, a place that we hold dear, a place that finds meaning and purpose for us. And we need it because we need a space where we can revere what is other, what is beyond, what is of God. Because if we do not know sacredness in the particular, like a particular place, we are going to struggle to recognize it in general. We are going to struggle to recognize that this world, that love, and yes, life itself is very sacred. Many of us have missed the opportunity to gather each Sunday in St. John's or in Town Church or in Salisbury or Rufeck or Glasgow, wherever we are. And I wish I was here today saying that next Sunday was the day when we were going to start gathering together again. Despite the fact here in Guernsey we are moving into phase 2, the restrictions placed on us will mean that we cannot have communion or sing. And it means that Matthew and I and the wardens feel that it's better to continue with worship online until we can return to normal. But we miss that sacred space, don't we? Not just because they are beautiful buildings, but because of all that they represent. They represent that corporate desire to reach out to God through worship, through word and sacrament, through the collective desire to live out God's love within our communities. And there is something important there that should not go unnoticed. Notions of sacredness are corporate, collective, something we do together because it says that we all recognize that desire for God and that this desire unites us as people. If we do not recognize that sacredness collectively in special places, in worship, in sacraments, how are we going to recognize it in the ordinariness of life? I would like to read an extract from T.S. Eliot's Little Gidding. If you come this way, taking any route, starting from anywhere, at any time or at any season, it would always be the same. You would have to put off sense and notion. You are not here to verify, instruct yourself, or inform curiosity, or carry report. You are here to kneel where prayer has been valid. There is a wonderful thing on Zoom called the chat facility. And if you're on a phone or tablet, you can access it by touching the screen and a menu pops up at the bottom. And one of the icons says on it chat. And if you click on that and follow the links, you can see the chat facility where you can send us a message. And if you're on a computer, you can do very much the same thing just by moving your cursor over the computer screen. And you'll see the same thing at the bottom of the screen. To end this, I would like us all to end in a corporate chat about sacredness. I'd like you to put in that chat your sacred space, a place where, to use T.S. Eliot's words, where prayer has been valid for you. It might well be your church, but it might be another place. In fact, if there are numerous places, do that and we'll put as many up as we can. And what I ask you is just to tell us about your sacred space, just the name of the place, no explanations, nothing else like that. And what I'd like you to do is you see those places popping up on your own chat. I'd like you to give thanks before God for those sacred places and hold them in prayer, that we may value and respect those spaces so that God may help us see the sacredness of all of God's creation. We will make those sacred places, the names of those sacred places, into a word montage, so that together as an online community, we can share each other's sacredness, the sacredness we all seek. Amen.